Hey everyone, welcome back to Spoons for Life. I'm Teresa, and if you're tuning in today, I just want to start by saying thank you. Truly, thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious, hard-earned energy with me today. Now, if you're a returning listener, you probably noticed something a little different right out of the gate today. You might have noticed the name change of the podcast. We are officially Spoons for Life. I want to share a little story about why this happened. A very close friend of mine, someone who listens to the show and knows my heart inside and out, texted me recently, and he pointed something out. First, he very jokingly told me to stop calling him out on the episodes. I guess the topics were hitting a little too close to home. But then he told me, this isn't just for teachers and parents. And you know what? He was completely right. So, whether you're managing a classroom, a household, a corporate job, holding down multiple jobs, or just trying to manage getting out of bed, if you're trying to figure out how to live a full, meaningful life while dealing with the limited amount of daily energy, you belong here. So, if you're new to the show because of that change, welcome to our family. I'm so incredibly glad you stumbled across us. And I deeply hope that you find our discussions helpful, validating, and practical. Before I even tell you the core of what we're tackling today, let's do something we rarely get permission to do during our busy, chaotic weeks. We're always rushing, always producing, and always performing. Let's stop. Wherever you are right now, if you're listening from bed because your body said not today and you haven't been able to get up yet, if you're sitting in your car in the driveway hiding out for a rare moment of quiet after a grueling day of teaching or parenting, or if you're pacing yourself through the mountain of chores that feels completely overwhelming, I want you to pause. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. Unclench your jaw. Let your hands relax. Now take a deep, slow breath in through your nose. Hold it and let it out. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in and just roll it out. Just let yourself exist exactly as you are in this exact moment. No expectations. No performance required. You don't have to prove anything to anyone right here. Today, we are opening the door to an incredibly heavy, incredibly vital, and deeply personal topic. Our mental well-being when we are dealing with chronic conditions. Now, we spend a lot of time on the show talking about the day-to-day logistics of chronic life. We talked about how to budget our spoons. And if you're new here, spoons are just our unit of measurement for daily physical and mental energy. We talk about the workflow triage, desktop audits, and how to manage digital clutter so our brains don't short circuit from cognitive overload. But there is a silent, heavy partner that tags along with every single chronic diagnosis, every long-haul symptom, and every unpredictable flare-up. And that is the massive mental toll that these conditions take on our minds. When you live with a chronic condition, or really, let's be entirely real here, multiple chronic conditions, because we all know that where there's one diagnosis, there's usually 5 more waiting in the wings, waiting to be discovered. Your body is fighting a baseline battle every single second of the day, and it never gets off. But your mind is right there in the trenches with it. Managing an illness isn't just a physical job. It is a profound emotional tax. The absolute anxiety of uncertainty, the crushing weight of grief for the life that you thought you'd be living, the sheer exhaustion of constantly having to advocate for yourself to doctors and employers, and the deep loneliness that comes from feeling isolated from the healthy world around you. These aren't just things that happen alongside your illness. They are a part of it. They are symptoms just as real as pain or fatigue. And here's the hard truth we have to reckon with today. Mental health struggles actively train your physical spoons. Emotional exhaustion manifests directly as physical fatigue. When your mind is carrying an invisible, heavy weight, your body is left with far fewer resources to heal, to move, or to thrive. So today, we're shining a light into those dark corners. We're going to look at the hidden psychological tolls of chronic illness. We're going to pull apart that very specific kind of loneliness that leaves us feeling stranded even when we're surrounded by people. And then we're going to talk about real, low-energy, spoonie-friendly strategies to fight back, protect your boundaries, and reclaim your mental peace. So stay with me. We're diving right in after this. Let's start by naming the things that often go unspoken. When you first get sick, or when you're newly diagnosed, you are usually handed a stack of glossy medical pamphlets. You get a list of physical symptoms to watch out for, a complex medication schedule, and maybe a dietary guide and a list of upcoming specialist appointments. But no one hands you a guide on how to survive the psychological side effects. No one gives you a roadmap for what happens to your mind when your world shrinks overnight. So let's talk about the first major mental toll. This is hypervigilance. When your body has betrayed you in the past with sudden agonizing pain, extreme fatigue, or unexpected symptom spikes, your brain goes into pure survival mode. You become trapped in a state of constant, exhausting high alert, scanning your body from head to toe every hour of the day. Every tiny twinge in your joints, every slight headache, every wave of nausea or flutter in your chest triggers an internal screaming alarm. Is a flare coming up? Did I push too hard yesterday? Is my medication stopped working? Am I going to be able to get out of bed tomorrow? This constant somatic checking isn't just worrying. It is a literal trauma response. It keeps your nervous system flooded with cortisol and adrenaline, meaning your fight or flight switch is permanently in the on position. Your body is trying to protect you from an enemy that lives inside your own skin. And living in a war zone like that is profoundly, deeply exhausting. Then we have the gaslighting cycle. This almost always begins in the medical system. How many of us have sat in a cold doctor's office or in the emergency room, being told that our labs are completely normal, while we barely find the strength to stand up? But worst of all, it happens in our closest social circles. It comes from well-meaning friends, family members, or colleagues who look at you and say things like, "But you don't look sick," or "Maybe you just need to get more fresh air." Or my personal favorite, "Have you tried that one special vitamin or diet?" Over time, these comments do something incredibly dangerous. They turn inward, and you start gaslighting yourself. You wake up in severe pain, and your brain whispers, "Am I just being lazy today? Maybe if I had more willpower and just pushed through, I'd be fine. Am I making a mountain out of a molehill?" You start second guessing your own physical reality, your own pain, because the world around you doesn't validate it. You lose trust in your own body, and you lose trust in your own mind. And if you're like me, well, you also stop going to urgent care or the ER when you know that anyone else who doesn't live with these conditions daily, anyone else who would experience these symptoms would go be seen immediately. But you stay home because you're tired of being told that everything looks normal when you know it is anything but normal. And that cracks open the door to the heaviest and probably most defining piece of this chronic life. And I'm going to do an entire segment on this in just a little bit, but I wanted to touch on it here. The crushing chronic loneliness. Let's be entirely honest. This life can be so incredibly, devastatingly lonely. Chronic illness isolation isn't just about being physically alone in a room. It is a profound emotional estrangement. The world moves at a frantic 100-mile-an-hour pace, and when you get sick, you're forced to step off the track. You open your phone from bed and you watch life move on without you. You see friends out to dinner, colleagues celebrating promotions, or other parents taking their kids on high-energy weekend adventures. You want to be happy for them. You truly do. But you're looking at life through a thick glass pane. Your world has shrunk to the four walls of your bedroom, your couch, and your doctor's office. And this isolation does a number on your mental health. Humans are wired for connection, and when illness cuts you off, your brain registers that isolation as danger. It deepens depression, triggers deep anxiety, and breeds resentment. You start to feel like a burden. You stop telling people how you really feel because you're tired of seeing that look of helplessness or pity in their eyes. You start answering, "I'm fine," just to protect their comfort. But every time you hide your truth, you add another brick to the wall separating you from the people that you love. And perhaps the most painful kind of loneliness is the kind that happens when you're not alone. It's the ache of being surrounded by family, partners, or friends who love you with all their hearts, but who ultimately cannot comprehend what it feels like to live inside of your body. They can bring you heating pads and tea, but they don't know the terror of an unpredictable flare-up. They don't know the mental math of having to calculate every single movement based on a dwindling currency of spoons. That gap creates a quiet, heavy realization that, at the end of the day, you are the only one navigating the dark interior of your illness. And sitting just beneath all of that hypervigilance, the gaslighting, and the loneliness is chronic grief. Grief isn't just for when someone passes away. Grief is the natural human response. And when you have a chronic condition, you're living in a non-stop cycle of ambiguous, ongoing loss. You're grieving the version of yourself that you used to be. The one who could just wake up and seize the day without a care. You're grieving the career path you might have had to step back from. The vibrant parent you wish you could be on high pain days. Or the future you had so meticulously mapped out before your health rewrote the entire script. It's the quiet, heavy mourning that doesn't have an end date. Because every new flare-up reminds you of what has been taken away. If you're sitting in that grief and loneliness today, I need you to hear me. Your pain is real. Your isolation is valid. You are allowed to mourn. Now, I want to dedicate some real, unhurried time to what I consider the heaviest and most defining piece of this entire invisible weight that we carry. And I've already touched on it just a little bit. But let's talk, really talk, about loneliness. Now, let me be entirely clear right from the start of this. Chronic illness, loneliness, is not simply the physical state of being alone in a room. You can be alone in a room and feel perfectly content. No, chronic illness, loneliness is something else entirely. It is a profound, aching isolation that stems from living in a completely different reality than the healthy world around you. Think about what actually happens when your health declines. The world outside your window doesn't slow down. It keeps moving at its frantic, chaotic 100-mile-an-hour pace, and life goes on. You open your phone from the bed and you scroll through social media, and there it is. You see your friends out at dinner laughing. You see coworkers launching a massive new project. Or you see fellow parents taking their kids on these high-energy, sun-drenched weekend outings. And you're happy for them. Of course you're happy for them. You don't wish ill on anyone. But as you scroll, a cold ache settles into your chest because you realize you're looking at life through a thick pane of glass. You're stuck in bed or trapped on the couch, watching life happen on a tiny glowing screen while your actual physical world has shrunk down to the four walls of your bedroom or your living room. You feel forgotten. Not because people don't care, but because that fast-moving train of normal life simply left you at the station. Then there's the secondary layer. The heavy loneliness of feeling like a burden. Think about it. How many times have you kept your pain, your nausea, or your crushing fatigue to yourself because you didn't want to ruin the mood of a family dinner? How many times have you answered, oh, I'm doing okay, or I'm just a little tired. When someone asked you how you were, you say it because you don't have the emotional spoons to explain that you haven't slept a full sleep cycle in 3 days. You say it because you're exhausted from seeing that look of helpless pity or even frustration flash across their faces. When we start filtering ourselves, we start hiding our truth. We put on a brave face to protect the comfort of those around us. But here's the tragedy of that defense mechanism. Every single time we hide our reality, we lay down another brick. We build a massive wall between our true experience and the people who really, truly love us, trapping ourselves inside a prison of our own making. But perhaps the most heartbreaking, devastating aspect of this life is the loneliness that happens when you're not alone. It's the loneliness of sitting on the couch surrounded by family, a partner, or close friends who truly and deeply love you. They try their best to support you. They bring you heating pads, they make you some tea, they rub your back, and they say all the right things. But ultimately, they cannot understand what it feels like to live inside of your skin. Oh, sure, they can sympathize, but they don't know the terrifying, unstable feeling of an unpredictable body that flips from being fine to being in a full-on crisis in 5 minutes. They don't know the constant, grueling mental math of calculating every single physical movement based on a strict, dwindling currency of spoons. And they don't know what it's like to live in a body that feels like an enemy. And that creates a gap. It creates a quiet, heavy, and sobering realization that at the end of the day, you are the only one navigating the dark interior of your illness. It can feel exactly like being stranded on a desert island, watching all the beautiful ships sail past in the distance. They wave at you from the deck. They love you, but they are entirely unable to dock on your shore. If you're sitting on that island right now, I want to take a moment to speak directly to your heart. Lean in and hear me. It's okay to admit that this hurts. It's okay to look at this life and say, I'm lonely. Now, I need you to understand that your loneliness is not a personal failure. It is not a sign that you are unloved, and it is absolutely not a sign that you're doing life wrong. The loneliness is a structural byproduct of chronic illness. It is a heavy, valid, and mathematically logical emotional response to a very, very difficult situation. It is a real symptom of a real struggle, and you're allowed to weep for it. You're allowed to let that weight down. But this isolation, it does a terrifying number on our mental health. Humans are fundamentally wired for connection. And when illness cuts you off, your brain registers that isolation as a literal threat to your survival. It deepens depression, triggers catastrophic anxiety, and breeds an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. And we need to talk about where that hopelessness can lead, because ignoring it only keeps people in the dark. The stats surrounding chronic illness and suicide are a stark, heartbreaking wake-up call to how deeply our medical and social systems are failing chronic warriors like ourselves. Studies consistently show that individuals living with chronic pain and long-term physical illness face a significantly higher risk of suicide compared to the general public. In fact, research indicates that having a chronic condition can double, and in some specific severe painful conditions, even triple the risk of suicidal ideation and suicide attempts. When you layer the exhaustion of physical pain on top of medical gaslighting and the lack of social connection, the mind can become completely overwhelmed by the desire for relief. Now, I'm sharing this heavy truth not to scare you, but rather to completely validate just how high the stakes are for us. If you have ever been in that dark place where you thought, I can't do this anymore, or if you have ever felt like your loved ones would simply be better off without the burden of your illness, I want you to hear my voice right now. You are navigating a crisis that is both physical and psychological. That darkness is not a reflection of a weak spirit. It is a reflection of a nervous system that has been pushed past its absolute breaking point. And if you are listening to this right now, and you are in that deep, scary, dark place, please, please, do not carry it alone. You do not have to prove how strong you are by suffering in silence. There is absolutely no shame in needing a lifeline. You can reach out to people who understand and who want to keep you here. Find a support group. I'm on several support groups on Facebook. And just knowing that there are other people out there going through the same thing. I may not post on them much, but I do read and I do offer my support. And I know that if I ever need to post anything on there, that those strangers who are going through the exact same thing will offer their support to me as well. And if you're in the US or Canada, please call or text 988 at any time, day or night, to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're in the UK, you can call 111. These services are free, they're confidential, and you don't have to explain your home medical history to get a trained professional to sit with you in the dark. And please, please remember that you are a part of this family. As someone who walks this chronic path right alongside you, I want you to know how deeply your presence matters here. This world is better with you in it. Our spoonie community is stronger with you in it. And I want you to stay. Please reach out to the professionals and to your friends and family who can help you carry this weight today. Your life, your story, and your presence in our little spoonie family matters. Please stay. Welcome back. If you need to take another deep, grounding breath after that last section, please do so. I know we just unpacked some incredibly heavy truths, and it is entirely okay if you feel a little raw right now. We acknowledge the dark on this show. We name it, we honor it, and we give it space. But we do not camp out there forever. Now, let's talk about how we fight back. When you are struggling with your mental health and you look up advice online or pick up a standard wellness book, the guidance you find is often incredibly, deeply ableist. It is built entirely for people with a steady, predictable surplus of energy. It tells you that to fix your mind, you need to wake up at 5 a.m., go for a 3-mile run, drink a green smoothie, meal prep 7 days of pristine organic food, and sit in silent meditation for an hour. Frankly, we do not have the spoons for that. Not even close. If we had that kind of surplus energy lying around, we wouldn't be using it to climb a mountain at dawn. We'd use it to finally fold that mountain of laundry sitting in the corner, or to actually cook a hot dinner for our families. Generic wellness advice assumes your baseline is 0. But for a spoonie, our baseline is often deep in the negatives. We don't need exhausting lifestyle overhauls. We need low-energy mental health tools. We need survival strategies that meet us exactly where we are, even if where we are right now is flat on our backs under a heavy blanket in a pitch-black room. So let's walk through 4 concrete, low-spoon strategies to protect your mind when your body is failing you. Our first tool is radical acceptance. This is a powerful concept rooted in dialectical behavior therapy, or DBT. And let me tell you, it's an absolute game changer for anyone navigating a chronic illness. Now let's clear up a massive misconception right away. Radical acceptance does not mean giving up. It is not resignation. It does not mean throwing your hands in the air and saying, "Oh, I love being sick. This is fantastic, and I'm just going to let it ruin my life." No, not at all. Instead, radical acceptance means completely acknowledging reality exactly as it is in the present moment, without wasting an ounce of your precious energy fighting it, screaming at it, or judging yourself for it. Think about what happens when you wake up, pull back the covers, and instantly realize you are entering a severe, crushing flare-up. The natural human reaction is immediate emotional resistance and anger. We start spiraling. Why today? Why does this always happen to me? I have so many things to do. My kids need me. My students need me. My coworkers need me. This is so unfair. That internal resistance creates an immense layer of secondary mental suffering. You are essentially taking a physical flare-up and adding an emotional wildfire on top of it. It drains your spoons before your feet even touch the floor. Radical acceptance sounds like this. You pause, you feel the pain, you feel the exhaustion, and instead of fighting it, you say to yourself, "Today's a high pain day. It's a low spoon day, and it really sucks. And I really deeply wish it wasn't happening, but it is. My body is in a crisis right now, and it needs to rest. So I'm going to adapt my expectations and my plans for the day." By dropping the exhausting secondary struggle of fighting a reality you cannot control, you preserve every single drop of your remaining energy for actually healing. You stop bleeding spoons into anger. The second tool is a ruthless, unapologetic audit of your energy demands. And we've talked about this. first episode was an audit of what you're doing for the day. When your mental health is tanking, you have to put up a fierce, ironclad boundary around whatever piece you have left. You have to become the gatekeeper of your remaining spoons. For us, this means practicing that asynchronous first approach that we talked about for our daily communication. We live in a world that demands immediate production and instant connection. But hear me clearly. You do not have to answer every text message the split second your phone vibrates. You do not have to reply to work emails or answer questions from friends and colleagues in real time. Give yourself permission to communicate asynchronously. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Read the message, let it sit, and respond to only when you have the cognitive spoons to do so, not just because a notification sequence demanded your attention. Furthermore, you need to ruthlessly audit your digital space. If you're laying in bed scrolling through your social media feeds and following creators or colleagues whose perfect, high-energy, hyper-productive lives triggers a comparison trap or make you feel inadequate, hit the mute button. Hit the unfollow button. Your digital environment should be a safe sanctuary for your nervous system, not a loud, flashing reminder of what your illness is currently preventing you from doing. Protect your eyes, protect your ears, and protect your feed. Our third strategy, when we're dealing with chronic conditions, our lives have a tendency to get stripped down to bare, bleak survival. We focus so hard on just getting through the day, remembering our medication schedule, managing symptoms, and pacing ourselves to make it to endless doctor's appointments, that we completely forget to feed our souls. We get stuck in a loop of clinical management and we starve ourselves of happiness. To combat this, we need to learn how to microdose joy. I want you to sit down or lay down with your phone and write out what I call a low energy joy list. This is your customized menu of small things that brings you a genuine spark of comfort, warmth, or happiness, but costs absolutely zero physical spoons to consume. Maybe it's curating a specific safety playlist of songs that instantly soothe your nervous system and make you feel grounded. Maybe it's cracking your bedroom window open just a tiny fraction so you can smell the fresh rain, feel the cool breeze, or hear the birds singing while you're stuck flat on your back. Maybe it's keeping a list of old, comforting childhood movies or familiar TV shows that you've seen 100 times. Ones where the plot is totally predictable, so your brain doesn't have to spend any cognitive energy trying to follow along. Or maybe it's having a designated friend group chat where the explicit rule is that you only text ridiculous, nonsensical memes to each other just to share a quick laugh, without the pressure of having a heavy, exhausting conversation. Joy does not have to be loud. It does not have to be active. And it does not have to be energetic to be deeply, fundamentally healing to your nervous system. Little drops of comfort add up. And finally, we have to change the way that we talk about ourselves in the dark. Your internal critic loves to use your chronic illness as a weapon against you. On your hardest days, when you are at your lowest, it creeps into your thoughts and whispers things like, "Look at you. You're being so lazy today. Look at everything you're missing. You're letting everyone down and you should be doing so much more." When that happens, you are essentially letting a bully run your inner dialogue. You have to actively catch that voice in the act and force a cognitive reframe. The next time you hear yourself think or say, "I'm being so lazy today," stomp on the brakes. Stop that sentence right in its tracks and replace it with the objective truth. Force yourself to say, "My body is working incredibly hard to manage a high, complex, painful health condition right now. Resting is not laziness. Resting is an active, necessary, and vital part of my healthcare routine. Fire that cruel, demanding boss inside your head and hire a compassionate, understanding friend instead. You would never talk to a sick child or a grieving friend the way that you talk to yourself on a flare day. You need to extend that same grace inward. And I know it's not easy. Believe me, I struggle with this too. I struggle with the I'm not good enough, I'm not doing enough. And that feeds back into that loneliness that we covered before. You are enough. I don't care if you have to write that in Sharpie on your mirror. You are enough. And it's time that we all start believing that. Now, as we begin to close out our time together today, I want to circle back and spend some unhurried time on that heavy reality of loneliness we uncovered earlier. Because while loneliness is an undeniable structural part of the chronic illness journey, isolation does not have to be your permanent home. You do not have to live your life entirely cut off from the world. The ultimate true antidote to the specific nobody gets it feeling is finding your people. And let me tell you from the bottom of my heart, your people are out there. There is an entirely beautiful, sprawling, and fiercely resilient community across the globe of chronic illness warriors, spoonies, disabled educators, work from home warriors, and tired parents who speak your exact unspoken language. These are people who don't need an explanation. They are people who understand the quiet heartbreak of having to cancel plans 5 minutes before you're supposed to leave because your body just suddenly gave out. They understand that managing to take a shower, wash your hair, or brush your teeth on a high pain day isn't just a basic chore. It's a massive, hard-fought triumph. And they understand that the weird, dark, and wonderful humor, and sometimes morbid humor, that comes with navigating a deeply broken medical system. I want to encourage you to actively seek out those spaces. Lean into the chronic illness communities online. Look up the hashtags. Listen to their podcast, read their blogs, and let their raw vulnerability validate yours. When you connect with someone who can look at your deepest, strangest system on your darkest emotional day and say without hesitation, "Oh my gosh, me too. I know exactly what that feels like," the thick walls of that isolated island start to crumble. And I also know that sometimes the darkness feels too heavy for a hashtag or a community forum to fix. Sometimes the weight of this chronic life pushes us into a place that feels completely inescapable. So before I let you go today, I want to reiterate the lifelines that we talked about earlier. If the loneliness, the pain, or the mental exhaustion has brought you to a terrifyingly dark place today, if you feel you are sitting there right now, feeling like you can't keep fighting, or that you are nothing but a burden to the people around you, please, I'm begging you, do not carry that weight alone. You don't have to be strong enough to handle a crisis by yourself. If you're in the US or Canada, you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night, to reach the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you're listening from the UK, please call 111. These services are 100% free, completely confidential, and they are staffed by people who want to listen. You don't have to explain your whole complex medical history or justify your pain to them. You just have to let them sit with you in the dark until the light comes back on. Please remember that you are an irreplaceable part of this family. As someone who walks this difficult, unpredictable, chronic path right alongside you, I want you to know how deeply your presence matters to me and to this community. The world is a better, kinder place because you are in it. Our Spoonie family is stronger because you are a part of it, and I want you to stay. Please reach out to the professionals who can help you hold up that weight today. You are not alone in the dark. You are a part of a massive, deeply empathetic collective of human beings who are learning together how to live beautifully and authentically within our limits. Your mental health is not failing because you aren't staying positive enough. It is hurting because carrying a physical, heavy load day in and day out is genuinely, truly, and completely exhausting. Please be incredibly gentle with yourself today. Give yourself the absolute grace for the things you couldn't accomplish. And celebrate yourself simply for making it to the end of this episode. Surviving is a victory. Find your people. They're out there. There are so many groups on Facebook, so many influencers on TikTok and YouTube, and so many podcasts out there where you can find your people and reach out to them as well. And I'm one of them. Thank you, truly, from the bottom of my heart, for spending your precious spoons with me today on Spoons for Life. And if this episode brought you comfort, or you think it could help ease the invisible weight for someone else in your life, please consider subscribing on Spotify or YouTube, Amazon, Apple, or Patreon. Leave a review and share it with a fellow spoonie who might desperately need a reminder that they aren't alone today. Next week, we're going to dig in and we're going to look at maintaining all kinds of relationships. So until next time, take care of your body, protect that beautiful mind of yours, and take it just one single spoon at a time. Bye for now.